Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Firepower Podcast. This is a show about the Firepower comic book series by Robert Kirkman and Chris Samnee, and of course, Matt Wilson and Russ Wooten. Today, I'm your host, Bashar, and today I'm joined by my friends and my fellow co hosts, Charlie and Addie. How's everyone doing?
Doing
Yeah,
great. I missed the last episode, so I'm excited to be back.
yeah,
Had a great weekend. Watched Spider Verse, but excited to get some firepower in.
Always nice to get the full group back and in action talking about this great book. But yeah, I'm doing well. Spider Verse time been incredible. Lots of Tears of the Kingdom for me. But yeah, it was just awesome diving back into here and a lot of surprises for me popped up. Like kind of haven't read through these issues in a while, so yeah, I'm excited to talk about some of these pretty crazy moments that happen. How are you doing, man?
Good, yeah, good. Excited to talk about Firepower. We got the solicit for 26. It looks exciting. It seems like there are a few things teased in these older issues that might finally come to fruition, and that's really cool. I think there's a surprising amount of text within these issues, whether it's subtext or just actual dialogue that you think it's small things or like maybe a tiny Easter egg or just something that's like whatever in the moment, but they actually address it later on things like that. I think that's really cool about this series. Another element that's somewhat similar to Invincible, I guess, in the sense that there was longevity, not only in the and how long the series went on, but also in some of the ideas that were utilized later on in the series. So I don't want to spoil it though. So yeah, without further ado, let's talk about Firepower 15. So the creative team, as always, Robert Kirkman, creator writer, Chris Samnee, creator artist, Matt Wilson, colorist, Masuten, letterer, Amanda LaFranco, editor, and previously. Although Haley might be able to wield the firepower, she can't yet control it. When the Serpent's Omen struck again, Haley was powerless to stop the attack. Luckily, Ling Zan had been anticipating this danger and revealed herself to save Kelly, Haley, and Doug. Ling's presence at the Johnson home meant she wasn't with the Scorched Earth clan, where the reach of Serpent's Omen grows, and no one, not even the mighty Chen Zhu, is safe. Lots going on right now. A lot of moving pieces in this series, and one thing I was initially concerned about was how they were going to balance like all these characters. But I'm happy to say that Robert Kirkman, he's not a novice writer. He's experienced. He's really good, and it was really good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like you said, he's so good at just juggling a lot of characters, even in Invincible. And I've seen the first bit of Walking Dead. I actually haven't read Walking Dead yet, but yeah, even in that, takes time with all the characters, and he's really great with that. But it's such a great opening to this issue. I honestly love this. I love these kind of just like intense little scenes to set up the issue. But yeah, this one was especially pretty epic, showing kind of the Serpent's Omen and their power against the Scorched Earth clan. What do you guys think of this opening here?
I mean, it was scary, especially that now we know that Scorched Earth Clan is the good guys. Chao Fang is in prison, and now their leader is taken over by the snakes. Right? I loved how the last issue ended. I know I wasn't there, but like the guy is running up and he's so confused to see what was his name, Master Zul, right? Cheng Zul,
That
taken over
was
by the snake. And then this issue starts with him running out, and then everybody around this panel when he's looking around and everybody got a snake around them gives me massive Walking Dead vibes.
Yeah, I like that because it reminds me of early on when I was recommending this series to people. I was like, it's got like everything. That's what makes it a little bit different than Invincible, which was it was really a superhero comic that kind of turned into sci-fi like later on. But this one, it's got a little bit of everything: adventure, horror, and here that's the little horror components showcased. And one thing I really got to say is it's really powerful, both writing and artistry, but really also writing that you can convey such a horrific scene in such a colorful environment. So yeah, I thought that was really cool because like when you look at the colors, like yeah, everyone's mind controlled, and you can see the green eyes that symbolize they're taken over by the serpent's omen, but they're still in a colorful, lush forest. Everyone's still wearing like really, what they normally wear. So I really like the contrast between their mind controlled or taken over selves as opposed to just their regular selves. There, it's a cool way to show you that even in the most safe environments, in the most colorful environments, out during the day, like you're not safe from the serpent's omen. So cool.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I love this dude's kind of blonde beard too. I was looking kind of on the second page, like it blends in with his skin a little bit. So I kind of had to take a second look there. But I love the look at this guy. And there's a couple characters we actually get in these next couple issues, just kind of characters that are just kind of thrown in there for a couple pages, but there it's just always enjoyable to see Samnee draw some different designs and stuff.
Yeah, this is an interesting issue because there's a lot of balance of themes. And yeah, we start the opening with the horror, but then we're going back to like the trauma and somewhat the responsibility in the family setting, because we see that it's trauma for the family because they have to, something's coming up in a few pages and we'll address that then, but also trauma because he has to deal with the fact that Ling Zan's alive and she just shows up. It's also somewhat traumatic for his wife because, like, well, she's been through a lot with the rest of her family, of course, but now it's like all these feelings of doubt that she says she's addressed and mostly dismissed. Now, some of them have like justification because this person that they died at the height of their feelings, as she mentions later on, for each other, her and him and Lingzan, Owen Lingzan. She just came back, so it's wild.
Yeah, definitely some awkward moments throughout for sure. Just this dynamic Ling Zan here with the family and like talking later with Haley and Doug. It was just super funny to see. I thought that was kind of a funny thing. Like Haley says in the next page, he's like, "Oh, so what was our dad like when he was young?" And just the look she gives. I don't know. Like after seeing what she's been spying and stuff on, like she gives me the creeps now a little bit, but she's
Hey, it is definitely creepy. Like she's got that smirk, and
she's
then
got
like
like a
if you think about
smirk.
it,
It's kind of like, man, like yeah, I know if you think about it, like yeah, she could be thinking a little more dirty here, but yeah, that's
like
kind of
I'm
going
totally
through
on
my
Kelly's
head.
side with this. I would
Yeah,
totally
oh,
be
I know,
creeped out if
super weird.
Yeah,
my partner's ex girlfriend is creeping on us from the windows, even if quote unquote to protect us or watch over us. It's still creepy.
there's some cool symbolism though because while while the kids are meeting with Ling Zan for the first time and they take her into the house, there's a contrast between the panels where they're lit up, and it's almost like she's finally out of the shadows, like the secret's out. But like when you see the two couples outside, like Owen and Kelly, it's like he kept her in the dark, so they're outside in the dark. But then later on, when they make up, they go back inside where it's warm. But there's like a nice little like touch from the colorist and from the artist, just making everything work together like that.
Yeah, that's a good show right there. Do you think? And like obviously this guy is such like obviously we know how good of a colorist he is. Do you think like does would he like put that much like detail into like because like yeah what you just explained they're literally like telling stories like through the colors itself and it's just like it's
I do think
beautiful. It just
so
seems like
because
it seems like
yeah,
a lot, but like I wouldn't put it past them for sure. It's just
I think so. You go to the page like where Langzan first shows herself. Well, not first shows herself. You go to the page where Kelly's points at Langzan and she says like, "You don't talk, he talks." If you look at that whole page, the one time that she yells, there's like almost red in the background, but the rest of the panels are pretty cold because everyone's pretty guilty, but you can feel her rage like in the one panel because that's like it's accented there, I guess you can say.
yeah, Yeah.
So I think they do pay attention to a lot. Like it's even
I think they do.
things.
It's just so
Yeah.
genius. Like
Oh
it's
yeah, that's what Matt Wilson's on in
yeah,
Eisner.
it's
This
fucking
next level
incredible.
shit.
Oh, I know. It's just
Yeah,
fucking yeah. It's bonkers, man.
and we'll talk about it more later when we get to the fire because the fire is like very insane.
Oh
There's
yeah, hell
a
yeah.
lot of hues. Yeah, but yeah, this is really cool because I think Kirkman does a good job of balancing. We've talked a lot about in previous episodes about how this series mostly we've praised Kirkman for allowing him to give Samnee space to really just do his thing because we know Kirkman is a verbose writer in the dialogue sense. He likes to do his dialogue. But I think this issue shows us like Kirkman's strengths in that sense because here we have a lot of dialogue they're making up, but also they're addressing a lot of issues that we've talked about in the previous issues, like problems that have come up that but they haven't been able to really talk about because of everything that's been happening in their lives with the kung fu and the kids and the dragons and it's been one big adventure. But yeah, like this coming up, I'm glad that this was like smartly written. We've talked about this before. This is smartly written. Invincible was smartly written, and I appreciated this. I don't like cliches. I feel like Marvel and DC they fall into a lot of cliches with the relationships. So I liked seeing something written a little bit more maturely in that sense, and staying true to the characters.
I
Yeah.
feel you can kind of carry that over to Somni too because we've hailed him for like his action scenes and how dynamic they are, but at the same time, like these 4 or 5 pages in a row, there's nothing like crazy happening, right? But you could see how expressive they are, how they start from being angry and anxious to finally being like a little more calm and cool. So it's not just the colors or the dialogue, but Somni did a great job here as well.
Yeah, hell yeah, yeah. That's why this comic book is so awesome. Just because, like, yeah, everyone's just does such a killer job. But yeah, this really like this conversation really made me feel better about this whole thing because I've said it a million times, and this is like one of the only kind of not. It's not even a love triangle, but like kind of is like one of the only kind of like three people dynamic relationships that I've ever really enjoyed, and this kind of like this conversation just kind of puts it in the coffin. That that like Owen and Ling Zan are never gonna be a thing. Because I remember at first I was like, oh, like there could be a chance, like oh he leaves Kelly, but like obviously with the kids that would be a super dick move. So yeah, I'm not sure, but yeah, for me this really just put the nail in the coffin. How like she was just lying the whole time about everything she was doing, and he was just kind of a pawn this whole time without really knowing. So I did really like this conversation between him and Kelly.
Yeah, feels like he's had some clarity from finally somewhat processing his feelings, and I like that he admits it was too raw like before to really like be able to make sense of anything. But I think also Kelly, like all things considered, like handles it pretty well. And
Insanely
yeah,
well. Yeah,
uh,
insanely well, I'd say.
I do like the Indiana Jones of this entire issue. There's a lot of it, and like we'll see the first of it here. And it's like Indiana Jones usually, like Indy's usually got that pal, whether it's in Egypt or whether it's in like wherever he's going, he's got that one guy like helping him do everything. And here, like it seems like Ling Zan's got a pal because someone from the island calls her, and he's like. Look, I've been trying to call anyone from the island, but it's been like dead, no answer. And then he's like getting off the boat as they dock onto the island, and he sees that there's snakes, and he's like, "Since when are there snakes on the island?" And that's where you say the iconic, "Did you say snakes?" And that's when, like, obviously they find out
Yeah.
the island's been taken over by a bunch of serpentomen, and they're like it's actually an intense situation because we have three different like mini stories going on in this story, right? We've got the with a story at the beginning, which is like giving us a third person view on what's going on the island. So we're not focusing through a character. Then we've got the main story with the family and the kids, which will split eventually later, and you'll see why. And then we've got the story right now on the island back with this character, and the other characters you'll see like Wayla, who will pop up eventually in this issue. Who I gotta say like barely makes an appearance in this issue, but shows you that there's a lot going on, and it still feels like enough has happened in this issue. Surprisingly, I still feel like a lot happened in this issue, and this one took me a little bit longer to read than the average one
Yeah,
because
there was a
well,
lot of dialogue here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So this is interesting, right? Like the first things first, they're like, okay, Kelly, I'm not gonna let you go alone with like your former lover, so I'm gonna go with you guys. We're gonna drop the kids off at the grandparents. It's funny that Papa Johnson is more excited to see the freaking
The dog,
what's his name?
peanut,
Yeah, peanut butter
peanut
than
butter.
he is to see Doug, and
Oh
Doug like
yeah,
makes a point to bring it up. Like I thought that was so delightful and funny. I also like the little like details. Like when you look and they're inside the house, like the TV is like really old. They've got one of those like old fat like '90s TVs. You know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah,
at least I
Yeah, the
think, or at
box
least even
TVs. Yeah,
yeah, or even if that's a monitor, like that's an old computer monitor. So it's
yeah.
like I like how it really matches like the setting and everything. Like it looks like these are a grandparents' house, right? Then we get this really big moment here. I think it's one of the biggest moments of the series because it shows how you know how different Owen is as a hero. Like he's crying and he's even admitting and in front of his daughter Haley because he's worried and he's stressed about the situation and everything and he wants her to be able to grow up like having a child experience and not be able to worry about all this trauma. But and then she calls him out on it and he was like, "Oh yeah, I am and it's okay. Do you want to go get Doug to see?" Which I thought was like a very funny response. But yeah, that was a really cool moment.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
definitely needed too, especially like with Haley now, um, getting a little more accustomed to having the firepower. And I think on a like deep down, Owen knows that she's probably going to be more involved than she is right now, and he definitely doesn't want her to be. So he's trying whatever he can to, I guess, keep her safe, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Also, but before I forget this. One of my favorite moments, like a little back, was like Ling Zan revealing the scorched earth tattoo, or like the dragon tattoo, and it looks like a dragon like with fire breathing out. And I just love that explanation that it's like not actual like a fire breathing dragon. She's like, oh no, that's silly. It's actually fire is what does kill the dragon, like in the prophecy. So it's kind of like the fireball going the other way. It's not coming out of its mouth; it's going into its mouth. So I thought that was really cool. And also, she has this interesting line too, and she says, "A scorched earth is one protected by the firepower. When all have the firepower, there will be nowhere for the dragon to hide." So yeah, that's kind of a little interesting line there, I thought.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot going for that line. I don't want to spoil though. So, but we do know Haley does have the firepower, and
Yeah.
she'll
Like,
show it again in
I
the
feel like a
season.
lot, like even up till now, like I won't spoil anything, but like that line still really hasn't been fulfilled
You know.
fully, which is yeah, it has very long lasting implications. I'll say that.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. So they're getting their goodbyes, and you can see Grandpa outside already playing with peanut butter. Like he's already getting it on. But later, the nice thing is that as they're saying their goodbyes for the group hug, I like how he just says, "Don't worry about us. You run off with your ex girlfriend and your wife and fight kung fu people. We'll keep the kids safe. Your life is super weird, son." And they do a group hug with peanut butter in the middle. It's really cute. But yeah, they take off on a private jet. It's Kelly, Owen, and Lingzan, the dream team, and this is actually a really cool twist on like the whole like romantic triangle or whatever people call them. I always forget. So I thought that was a really like fun twist on it. That they're all just gonna go like fight, like they fight together for the fate of the or for the fate of the planet, basically, in a sense. Um, and seeing the destruction back at the temple, it's really interesting because, like we said earlier, you have one part of the island that's like completely. Sorry, you have the island that's completely taken over. That's one part of the story. Then you have this other temple where they're divorced from what's going on there. They have no communication right now, and so it comes as a complete surprise. And I'm honestly, one thing I will say is that Wei Lun, given all his like cleverness, or maybe it's just that like I didn't catch, maybe because it's been a while since we recorded the last episode, so I didn't quite catch the time gap. But like, I feel like everyone else should have noticed a little bit sooner that like they're clearly waiting for something. Like this dude's not just sitting there, right? Like if he stopped pounding the door, it was not. It's
Yeah,
not just easy
Right, and he
sitting
looks
yeah,
pretty
there.
fucking menacing too. Like just
Yeah.
sitting there with his arms out, staring coldly into
Yeah,
nothingness.
probably
Like
Yeah.
that
probably
just
not too
looks scary.
innocent. Yeah, probably not too innocent. There's some innocent eyes over there, eh? But, no, that's that's awesome. He's such a cool design, though. Like I just love the design with the snakes and the green eyes. It looks super badass for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
this
the next page was gets one of the best moments of the whole series, like the entire series. You get Waylon just walking out, and one of the Chao Feng's students just says, "Oh, you fool! It's worried about what he's waiting for." And let me add, he should be. So obviously, finally, she speaks the obvious. But as Waylon exits the what do you call it, the place, he sees a freaking serpent lunging at him, and he does this insane like last second dive, manages to dodge
Matrix,
it.
he did a
Yeah,
Matrix dive there.
and he
Fucking,
chews it. He like grabs it, he
uh,
decapitates it with his mouth, and then spits out the snake. Like after he manages to what do you call it, grab it from one of the students. But I just want to say like that was insane. Honestly, like I really didn't see that coming. Like of all the things I've seen in this book, I really didn't see that coming. So the first time I saw it, I was like cheering. It's like, oh my god, he just chopped off the snake's fucking head with his mouth, like
Coolest snake
crazy.
death. Coolest snake death in the book.
Yeah, I mean he gave it
yeah, it was
fucking
badass.
fatality. Like what can you do more than that?
Yeah, no, for sure. It was also it was a little relieving knowing that like you could kill them and kind of like take off that possession. So like it was a little relieving knowing that these things could be taken care of in a certain way. We knew the firepower could kill these snakes, but and I don't think everyone's going to be going around biting heads off snakes, but at least they can be dealt with in some sort of manner.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just a great action scene overall. I love the framing of panels. Sorry, yeah, the framing of these panels by Samnee. Just the angles and everything look incredible. It really shows off the action and the depths of where they are. I love the joke about how it's like we should be thankful because it's hard for snakes to reach the temple, because it's like super high up.
Yeah,
Um,
I love they put the silhouette of the snake like coming out. Like you did, I guess you had to do that, but I just love that. That's a good little touch.
oh yeah, and I love like Wei Lun's expression on his face with the A, as he, people living in Canada, we could definitely appreciate the A. But as you see, like the big thing coming up again, the big ship coming up again, and he says not again. But like it's crazy because it's a cliffhanger for multiple reasons. Like obviously you're excited to see what happens, but it's also I don't think he realizes that they're everyone on the ship is taken over yet, because he just thinks they're attacking, and he's wondering why Chen Zul betrayed him again. So this ends on a big cliffhanger, and back then when we were reading this, we were wondering like how is he going to react to that information, right? Like this way long, and oh my god, the next issue is incredible as well. So yeah, this was a great issue overall. The RC Coda wasn't really super eventful. This one I'd recommend checking out. It was a lot shorter, overall, still really exciting stuff. I'm really excited for the next issue, because the next issue is one of the really big ones of the entire series. Not to take anything away from this one, but this one
Yeah.
really does a lot of setting up,
Oh yeah.
and it basically it's an alley oop, right? Like this one sets up the next one, and the next one's, oh my god.
I actually totally forgot going into the next one, like reading it. Like that was like I forgot which issue it happened. But yeah, no, it's great stuff, and yeah, can't wait to get into that too.
Yeah. So thanks for joining us, dear readers. We'll see you next time for Firepower number 16. Stay posted.